Good evening from the Qtv newsroom. I am Maria Masani and thanks for joining us. First, the main local and international news headlines. We are aware that there has recently been a lengthy internet outage. We'll bring you an update on that. On Thursday, during his Meet the People tour, the president announced major development projects for the people of Brikama and its surroundings. The medical director of Shore Medical Center has warned the public during a COVID-19 awareness marathon that COVID-19 is still a threat and that there is the potential of another wave that is worse than the previous one. A day-long stakeholder dialogue on the 2021 national budget was recently organized in Bassa URR by a CSO organization, Bekanyang. For over 50 years, the four village associations in Kiang have complained about the lack of proper road network and access to better health care facilities. We hear what's being done to address this. In international news, Niger could see its first democratic transition of power since independence from France 60 years ago, as the former French colony is headed to a presidential runoff poll in February. Now the local news in detail. Stay with us. We are aware that there has recently been a lengthy internet outage. Here are two announcements in the connection with the issue.
A statement from the Gambia Submarine Cable Management. The East cable link connecting the country to outside is down at the sea level, and this is generally impacting on internet services. The GSC and ACE is jointly addressing the issue with the utmost urgency it requires. The restoration measures at the level of ACE are in progress. We apologize for the inconvenience caused. Thank you. And secondly, here is a message from QCell's management about the same incident. QCell sincerely apologizes to its customers for the internet outage, which was experienced due to the Africa Coast to Europe or ACE cable link, which was down at sea level. Since the incident occurred, our team has been working tirelessly to restore our backup link. However, there were delays due to the holiday period because of the different parties involved. We are happy to announce that we are now serving our customers using our backup link. We are hopeful that together with the management of Gambia Submarine Cable, we will be able to resolve this issue soon. We thank you for your patience and understanding.
The president has announced major development projects for the people of Brikama and surroundings, which include the construction of a new market. He was speaking on Thursday in Brikama and Kembuje. Aliu Cisse reports.
The dialogue with the people store entered the Kombo region with meetings in Kembuje in Kombo North and Brikama in Kombo South. On health, the president reminds the people of Brikama that the plans to build a major hospital in Brikama by the Qataris are still on, but have been delayed by the advent of the COVID-19. On road issues, he informed the gathering that there is a plan to conduct a survey on major roads in major towns, including Brikama and Serekunda, to build the roads just as in Banjul. Regarding the poor state of the Brikama market and frequent fire outbreaks, President Barrow said the construction of the Brikama market is in the 2021 budget and Gambworks is working on the construction plan. He expressed commitment to address the needs of the people. At the Kembuje meeting, the youth appealed for the fencing of their football field, which has been destroyed by erosion, while the women complained of water shortage at their garden and lack of a proper fence. They also want adequate water and electricity to all the communities in Kombo North. They complain of bad roads, including the Buffalo to Kubine Road. Recognizing the critical role of village heads, there was a proposal for salary allocation for alcalos, just as currently exists for the district chiefs. In Brikama, people raise concerns about floods at the Brikama market, which makes it inaccessible during the rainy season. In addition, the lack of proper roads in Brikama, they said, has made movement difficult, especially during the rainy season. They also appeal for water and electricity supply to the communities that are still without. While they hope for the timely intervention of government, they were firm in renewing their support and loyalty to the president and his government. Musa Drame, the last minister, said the concerns regarding the alcalos have been noted and will be looked into. Hamad Nkeba, the Thursday minister, expressed frustration and sadness that after 50 years, Gambians are still complaining of a lack of safe drinking water, poor health care, and roads. President Barrow, he said, has come to fix the development challenges with his development strategy. Describing President Barrow as a unifying figure, he preaches unity as he urged Gambians to appreciate the current leadership.
Today, the Gambian opposition have been mesmerized by Adama Barrow. They have been dispossessed by Adama Barrow. They don't know how to counter Adama Barrow's wave of movement. Let them come with ideas to counter what Adama is doing and try to engage the Gambian people.
On the sidelines of the meetings, there were presentations of checks to various women groups under the Women's Enterprise Fund. Women's Affairs Minister Fatih Kinte said the fund is meant to empower women's groups and is earmarked for Gambian women. Bakari Baji, the youth minister, announced the government has allocated $20 million to be disbursed to youth groups starting this January to support their businesses. He used the meetings to dialogue with the youth against attempting the illegal journey to Europe, which he said is very dangerous. The meetings in Fonyi Block and Kumba Kloro were postponed during the demise of Jere Fati, one of the drivers to the president, who was buried on Wednesday and attended by the president. On Saturday, the president held meetings in New Yundum and Nemakunku. On Sunday, there will be meetings in Sanyang and Brufut. Reporting for Qtv News, I am Aliou Cisse.
The medical director of Shara Medical Center has warned the public that COVID-19 is still a threat and there is potential of another wave of the virus that is worse than the previous one. Dr. Jha was speaking after a COVID-19 awareness event on Friday, organized by Shara Medical Center. Mamdulamin Choi reports.
When the coronavirus pandemic hit, one of the first pieces of advice from medics was that people should prepare to fight the virus like they will prepare for surgery by staying fit and healthy. This advice is still relevant for everyone in the Gambia. It is this message that Sarab Medical Center was sending by organizing a 10-kilometer walk and run for its staff, family and other health officials. The exercise began from Sharab Medical Center in Kanifing, Tobijulo, and while some walked the 10-kilometer distance, others ran from start to finish. The event was sponsored by the Q Group, whose chairman also joined the participants. The medical center says the exercise was organized as an awareness campaign on COVID-19 and it reminded to the public that the virus is still a threat.
2020 was dominated by COVID in all aspects of our lives. It's not only the health aspect, but everything in our life has been dominated by COVID-19. We've been lucky in the Gambia that the effect of COVID has not been as bad as elsewhere in the world. But we are still not free from it. And there is a risk of having pandemic fatigue, which means that we all are just too tired about thinking about COVID, and we don't take the precautions that we are supposed to take, and we risk having what we call a second wave. And some countries are having second waves now.
With the emergence of a new variant of the virus that is fast spreading in Europe and parts of Africa, the advice for precautionary measures remains the same. That is, social distancing, frequent hand washing and face mask wearing. The year 2020 is now in the past, but the virus has not vanished with it and continues to be a global pandemic, infecting millions and killing hundreds of thousands.
We hope that 2021 brings everybody a new lease to life in which we don't have to be thinking constantly about COVID. There is a vaccine that is already out, or there are vaccines that are already out, but it will take a long time before we get hold of it in this part of the world, and we have to remember. We hope that by the end of 2021, COVID will be buried and dead, and we'll be able to live our lives normally again. Thank you very much for everybody for gracing this occasion, and we wish the whole Gambian population a very happy new year and a very productive new year. Thank you very much.
The WHO country representative was also at this occasion and stressed the significance of the initiative.
And we encourage this. Whoever is conducting this type of program, that will encourage people to participate and be active and be healthy. Being active is being healthy, and it's one of the recommended strategy for you to keep yourself healthy, in addition to healthy diet. So I'm very happy to see all of you.
The 10-kilometer walk and run saw a competition among the participants, some of whom hit the finishing line and emerged victorious and were presented with awards. However, as far as the organizers are concerned, the event is not about winning and receiving awards, but about taking part and a grim and timely reminder that the coronavirus is still a threat haunting humanity. Mahmoud Lamin Choi, Qtv News.
A day-long stakeholder dialogue on 2021 national budget was recently organized in Basse, URR, by a CSO organization, Bekanyang. This story by Fodemane is narrated by Babukar Sise.
The stakeholders' dialogue was convened after the 2021 budget speech 3 weeks ago by the Minister of Finance and Economic Affairs at the National Assembly. The event brought together National Assembly members, government authorities, women and youth groups, the media, and community leaders to discuss the financial expenses and income generation framework of the government for the year 2021 in a bid to promote accountability and transparency. Honorable Sidia Jata, the National Assembly member for Woolly West, described the 2021 budget as something more of a deficit budget and urges the government to be development focused.
Well, the problem is that the 2021 appropriation or budget, as well as the 2020 budget, is a deficit budget. The 2020 budget had a deficit of about 4 billion, and the 2021 budget is also having a deficit of about 6.1 billion. So what that indicates is that we are having problems with development.
Honorable Jata also shared his thoughts on the $54 million loan scheme for parliamentarians.
It is not that it is bad, but it has come at a very bad time, at a time when you don't have money. We are talking about cutting down allocations in order to reduce the deficit. So why do you have to talk about $54 million for loans for members? That's the problem. It's not that it is bad, but it has come at a wrong time.
Yuba Jawara, the vice chairperson of Basse Area Council and a participant at the event, urged the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs to reconsider its method of formulating budgets.
I cannot understand why is it that politicians are the beneficiary of our budgets and civil servants, not the masses who are the taxpayers. So first and foremost, I'm appealing to the entire government. When I said entire government, I mean the parliament and the executive. They need to put this into consideration.
The deputy head of programs for Bekanyang, Mohamed Sise, explains the significance of the dialogue and reaffirmed Bekanyang's commitment to organize many forums.
This is really important because the essence for national development is participation. People need to take part and take charge of their own development. And for development to be sustainable, it has to be taken from a bottom-up approach. And this is the very reason why we decided to come down to the local people, come down to the grassroots communities and engage them to ensure that they also understand what are the different appropriations, the key priority areas of the budget. Because aside the constitution, the budget is the second most important national document.
This kind of event are important for citizens to know the budgetary processes, appropriations and allocations to different sectors of the government. It is also an opportunity for participants to review and issue recommendations on the bill. Babukar Sise, Qtv News.
We will take a short break, and still to come we have local and international news. Welcome back. If you're just tuning in, this is QTV News. For over 50 years, the Four Village Association in Kiang have complained about the lack of proper road network and access to better health care facilities than what they have. They made these remarks during a road clearing exercise to ease communication and free up the movement of goods, services and people. Babukar Sisa again.
The four villages that form the association are Julakunda, Burong, Tabarankito and Misira. They complain that their communities have been neglected since independence, even though they always pay taxes to the government. Buba Dabo, the president of the Four Village Association, says the roads rehabilitation initiative is fully self-funded. He further explains the strategic importance of the roads.
To make sure that vehicles can come in and out to move people and their goods to various markets. Here is an agricultural zone. Women definitely do a lot of agricultural activities and vegetable production. But after that, reaching markets is extremely impossible. So we felt that we need to work on our roads so that we can have vehicles coming in here, allow them to come and access and pick our people to the various markets. So that's the reason we are here. This is a 9-kilometer stretch. From Karantaba to the crossing point to Bintang is 9 kilometers. So it has been there during the PPP, during the APRC, with the current government, it has been there. So we felt we can do it for ourselves. The little that we can do, we will do it. So if government comes to our support, they are doing their job because we are paying the tax like any other part of the country is paying their tax. If the government comes to support, it's well and good. But we are not going to wait for anybody now. We think we can do something that is going to ease the burden on our fathers, our mothers, our sisters, and our brothers that are living in these 4 communities. The condition of road is very bad, especially during rain season. To have a vehicle here, especially if you have a heavy load, to bring it supplies to our shops is very difficult. Especially during rain season, you have places, the vehicle owners are always afraid to come because sometimes they will have a problem there. Okay. Sometimes also, pregnant women, when they are about to deliver, to transport them to hospital is always a problem because of the condition of the road. So currently, this exercise has been going on years, clearing this road. But now our target is to clear it, expand the road, try to get trucks and excavators to dig rocks and try to fill some potholes where we do normally have difficulty during rain seasons.
Sanji talmulu anin feng ne alon ko dolbe janyim banko kanjang nka kartew fay anun ker na nyan tolam bur nga kartew fay baro nyan to me alon ko ka kartew fay kan.
We have been voting for 50 years because it is our right to vote, but we don't get what we are expecting. Our grandfathers have paid tax, but we did not benefit from that. Therefore, we are doing this so that the authorities should know that we need development.
We are tired. Even some of the pregnant women in labor die because of lack of transportation to get to the hospital. Our garden produce also go to waste. We cannot even have transport to attend funeral services on time.
A poor road network often has an adverse effect on the lives and livelihoods of people as it leads to problems of access, especially during the rainy season. This, in turn, causes a decrease in agricultural production and also affects access to markets, healthcare, and educational facilities. Babukar Sise, Qtv News.
In international news, Niger could see its first democratic transition of power since independence from France 60 years ago. The former French colony is headed to a runoff poll in February after the country's ruling party candidate led the first round of voting but failed to win outright. Amor Pijalo has the rest of that story.
In a year marked by setbacks for West African democracy, Niger is poised to hold a runoff election in February 21st that will lead to the country's first transition of power between 2 freely elected presidents. The runoff presents a milestone for Niger, which has experienced 4 coups since gaining independence from France in 1960. Mohamed Bazoum, the 60-year-old former interior minister, outgoing President Issoufou's hand-picked successor, and the favourite in the race, has vowed to continue Issoufou's policy for combating Islamist violence and tackling poverty. Bazoum faced 29 other candidates in the first round, including Mahamane Ousmane, who was the country's fourth president from 1993 to 1996, when he was ousted in a coup, and Seyni Ousmane, a former prime minister. The runner-up in the last election, Hama Amadou, is barred from running because of a criminal conviction. Only Bazoum has waged a much of campaign so far, owing to the ruling party's vast financial advantages. The peaceful transfer of power would be significant not only in Niger, but also in West Africa, where leaders have recently held on for disputed third terms in Guinea and Ivory Coast. In an other unusual move for Africa, President Mahamadou Issoufou, who has served 2 terms, is stepping down, paving the way for the first peaceful transfer of power between 2 elected presidents since independence from France in 1960. He was elected to the presidency in 2011 after a military coup ousted his successor, Mamadou Tanja, in February 2010. More than 7.4 million Nigerians are registered to vote, and before the runoff, there were 30 candidates running for presidency. At the same time, 171 seats are being contested in the National Assembly. A teacher by training, Bazoum has promised to build boarding schools for girls to encourage them to stay in school longer, which he said would help to push back the age of marriage in a country with many teenage pregnancies. Bazoum, who turned 61 in February, will face his biggest competitor, former President Mahamane Ousmane 70, who collected 17% of the votes in the first round, and has the endorsement of opposition leader Hama Amadou, whose candidacy was rejected by the Constitutional Court because of a 1-year prison sentence for charges of baby trafficking. Amadou denied the charges, calling them politically motivated. Mr. Bazoum, a former head of Niger's Interior and Foreign Ministries, led the first round with 39.33% of the votes, according to provisional results announced by the Nation Electoral Commission on Saturday, that falls far short of the 50% needed to win the presidency outright. Bazoum, who turned 61 on Friday, has served as president of the ruling PNDS-Tyria party since 2011. Niger also faced increasing attacks from fighters linked to the Islamic State group and Al-Qaeda. Thousands of people have been killed and hundreds of thousands have been displaced, despite the presence of thousands of regional and international troops. The Islamist terrorists probably top the list of major problems that the next president has to deal with, as well as poverty, displacement, corruption, and a struggling economy. In the past year alone, hundreds of Nigerian soldiers and civilians have been killed in attacks. The latest blame on Boko Haram killed 28 people on December 12. Reporting for QTV News, I am Omar P. Jallo.
Before we end this bulletin, let's take a quick look at our main stories. We are aware that customers recently experienced a lengthy internet outage. We brought an update on that. On Thursday, during his Meet the People tour, the president announced major development projects for the people of Brikama and its surroundings. The medical director of Sharab Medical Center has warned the public during a COVID-19 awareness marathon that COVID-19 is still a threat and that there is the potential of another wave that is worse than the previous one. A day-long stakeholder dialogue on the 2021 national budget was recently organized in Bassa, URR, by a CSO organization, Baykanyang. For over 50 years, the Four Village Association in Kiang have complained about the lack of proper road network and access to better health care facilities. We heard what's being done to address this. In international news, Niger could see its first democratic transition of power since independence from France 60 years ago, as the former French colony heads to a presidential runoff poll in February. That's all we have for you in this edition of the QTV News. Do join us at 10 p.m. for another edition. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.